This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. The holidays are over, the decorations are down, and suddenly everything feels a little empty. It's normal to feel the winter blues after the holiday excitement. January, February, and March are by far my least favorite months of the year. It's cold and dark, and I have to get some extra vitamin D on board. I also need to keep my regular scheduled appointments with my therapist. So if you're feeling that post-holiday funk, I definitely suggest you checking out BetterHelp because maybe it's time to talk. You might also be one of those people like me who makes New Year's resolutions and you get super motivated. So maybe you need someone behind you to hold you accountable and come up with a plan to meet your goals. BetterHelp is super convenient, totally online. You have a therapist right at your fingertips whenever you need them. So head over to betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/wifeofcrime1 for 10% off your first month.
Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun, play for free, and you could even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So Russ, over the last couple years, we've talked about a lot of serial killers. But one thing we've never talked about is a child that kills. Today, I'm going to tell you about a serial killer that breaks all the stereotypes. It's a classic story of nature versus nurture. This is the case of Mary Bell. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's your boy Russ, back with Jess the Hater.
This is Jess, not the hater, and we're here for another week. So, we had really exciting news this week. We actually launched our new logo. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Pod or any of the other listening platforms, you will see that we have a brand new logo. We just totally upped our look and we're so excited about it. And we got a huge response on social media, which was so cool.
Yeah, we didn't get anyone, because you know our faces on there. I thought someone would say, "Damn, Russ, you ugly," or something like that. But sometimes it's just funny if people say stuff like that, even if it's not true. I would have laughed. Jess would have been like, "Oh no, what's wrong with my face?"
No, but you're not ugly.
But I would have took it. I would have thought it was funny.
Well, our friend Jade at Dead Inside Design is who designed our logo, and we have a bunch of merch coming out. It should be coming out in the next month or so. We're in the process of designing all the merch right now, so we're so excited about the new merch launch. Jade did an amazing job. She's a listener, which really helped. So thank you, Jade, so much for all the hard work you put into this, and we just really appreciate it. We really think you captured all of our inside jokes, so we're super excited.
Yeah, that was pretty good. She crushed it, and I expected her to be an old woman until I saw her Instagram recently. I was like, oh, shit, she's young.
Yeah, she's really young.
Yeah, 'cause young people aren't normally good at stuff, because I wasn't good at anything when I was young.
No, she's amazing.
She fucking crushed it.
She did. She's from the UK.
Shout out to you young people that are good at stuff. I guess I was a late bloomer.
All right. So for our True Crime and Chill, this month, we're doing The Raincoat Killer, which is actually a documentary on Netflix about a serial killer out of Korea.
So that's going to be really interesting. So definitely go check out that documentary. I think it's a 3-part documentary, and we're going to be covering it on our Patreon for our True Crime and Chill episode. So we're going to be recording that this week. It should be coming out within the next week or so, which I'm super excited about because it looks really interesting.
Yeah, I picked that one. And it's very rare because that one has multiple parts, but I was kind of tricked into picking it because I was looking for something to watch, and The Raincoat Killer sounds like it would be a really good movie, but then it was a documentary and I was bamboozled. But the first 20 minutes of it was kind of good. So I was like, oh, maybe we could do this on True Crime and Chill.
Wow, you are ahead of the game because I haven't even pushed play. I haven't even started it at all. Did you watch the whole first episode already?
Yeah, I watched one. I fell asleep 2 times during it. That doesn't mean it was boring. That just means that, if I lay down and watch TV, I just go to sleep, no matter what time it is.
It's true. He does. He can never get through any. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are like that. Like, you guys just lay down and automatically you're asleep, 5 minutes into a TV show or movie. So whenever we watch series together, we have to watch in the living room or Russ's. And I'm a binger. So it's really hard because we're total opposites. I'm a binger and I'll go through an entire series in one night. So we can never watch shows together. Moral of the story.
See what'll happen then. Then the next day she'll put it on and she's like, oh, let's rewatch the episode you didn't watch. And I'm like, no, just go right from where you were. I'm fine. I'll catch up. I'll make up a story in my head of how they got here. It'll probably be better in my head than it would have been on the damn screen anyway. Just keep going. But then she has to explain the whole thing in detail. She'll explain the color of the outfits they were wearing in the previous episodes. It's ridiculous.
Whatever. Leave me alone.
So, did you hear about that dad that rescued his daughter from being sold into a sex thing?
No. Mm-mm.
So, his name is John Eisman, and this dude killed the boyfriend of his daughter, who was 19 years old. I don't know the boyfriend's name. The boyfriend was 19 years old. I don't know how old the daughter is. So he went and rescued his daughter. A month later, he confronted her 19-year-old boyfriend who was suspected of selling her into this sex trafficking stuff. He hit him on the head with a cinder block, stabbed him multiple times, duct taped his legs and arms, threw him in a trunk, and put the car somewhere. It was old 1991 Honda Accord. And neighbors said that it smelled and there was mold growing on it. So I guess that's how he got caught. And he told the neighbors he killed the dude. So shout out to John Eisman. # free John Eisman. If it isn't your job to protect your daughter like that, then whose job is it? Because that dude was still free after a month. If he sold her and stuff like that, then someone else should have already been in jail. Yeah. And it was that dad's job to go do that. Wow.
Well, I bet he's going to jail full of pride, honestly, because he did it to protect his daughter. But that's really crazy.
Yeah. So # free John Eisman.
I mean, yeah, but he still killed someone.
That's okay. It's okay to kill people that do things like that because he made the earth a better place by taking out someone that would sell someone into sex trafficking.
No, I agree
now the
with
earth
you.
is actually a little bit better without that piece of shit.
That's a good point. That's a good point. No, you're totally... I agree with you, but at the end of the day, the penalty for murder is jail, so...
Yeah, but the penalty for selling someone's daughter into sex trafficking should be death from the father.
No, I totally get it. I do.
And shout out to Laura Brand, who did the Toolbox Killers documentary. I think it's on Peacock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she brought my attention to this. She tagged me on this on Facebook. And then it made me look into it a little bit, very little bit, because I just read an article that looked the shortest.
You're not a detail-oriented guy.
No, I made up the rest of the details in my head in between the facts that I gave you guys. And they say he was suspected of selling the girl, and I took it as he probably did it.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I totally get it. My dad is someone who would do the same thing. So I totally get it.
And I hope all of you out there that, you have a family member that would do the same thing for you. But now the sad thing is the woman has to not have her father and he's in jail. But hopefully the judge gives him the smallest penalty possible. Mm-hmm. I would give him, I don't know.
It's true. Arnie Johnson claimed he was... Was it Arnie Johnson? Yeah. Arnie Johnson claimed he was possessed because he stabbed a dude and he only got 6 years.
Yo, if that clown can get away with it, First of all, if the devil can make you go crazy, someone stealing your daughter could make you go crazier.
That's true, yeah.
So, and still, Arnie Johnson is a clown. And Laura Brand sent us a thing of her and Arnie saying hi to us, but he's still a clown. And his teeth are all messed up. And it still looks like the devil took over his teeth.
Oh, jeez.
But Laura's still the homie. But
yeah, we're going to...
Watch your back from that dude. He was probably getting a little too close.
Well, we're going to watch Laura's documentary and cover it as a bonus episode eventually when me and Russ have time to watch it together.
Yeah,
we work
been tough,
lot.
Folks. Last week I hit about 80 hours at work, so it's hard.
Yeah, we work a lot, but we are definitely doing our True Crime and Chill, and we're going to be putting out, semi-frequent listener episodes because our last listener episode got a really good response, and I ended up getting a bunch of emails afterwards with a bunch more stories, and I can't wait to tell Russ your stories. So if you do have a story, it can be true crime, paranormal, or just something really funny, and we've gotten some good ones too. I'm really excited to tell you. Then email us at wifeofcrimepod@gmail.com, and you might be on one of the upcoming listener story episodes.
Yeah, keep those coming in. If we could, the goal would probably be like once a month would be a good amount of time to do that.
Yeah.
But then that would be back to doing weekly episodes.
Almost.
Jeez.
Almost weekly episodes.
So I work all week, come back to the pod, get drunk, back to work. Routine.
All right, so come on, bro. You got to do your jobs.
Oh, so this week we have the review of the week. So this week's review of the week is... According to Jess, Russ is contagious. 5 stars from Steph Shep. Her name probably isn't Shep. Probably just rhymes, Steph Shep.
No, it's probably like Steph Shepard, maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay, so according to Jess, Russ is contagious. And now the review starts. It says, it's true. Russ is so wise. After every episode, I come away having learned so much. Internet is fake people. Stay fit, stay alive. Never be nice. Nice will get you in trouble. Be mean or standoffish. But really, this is a great podcast. Jess, you are a great storyteller, and you know just when to say shut up to Russ. You all are great. So shout out to you, Steph. And I'm assuming you're not from the South because you didn't say y'all are great. You said you all are great.
True. We have a lot of Southern listeners. So
yeah, a lot of reviews say y'all. But I respect the y'all. In New York, we say yous.
Yeah, we say you guys, yous.
Nah, we say yous.
All right, well.
Jess ain't from New York.
I'm not.
All right, so this week's patrons are... We have a lot again. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate you all. And the patrons are Danielle, Kayla, Savannah, Hannah, Samantha, Derek, Brittany, Paige, Candace, Shannon, Rhonda, Tierney, another Paige, Caitlin, Lindsay, Kaylani, Hannah, Tiffany, Lucia, Timo Lee, and Stacy.
Wow, that was a lot.
Shout out to you guys. I have a beer for you guys. I cut my nail, so it's hard to open that one. So you know what I feel like when I do that?
Huh.
I feel like that song DMX when he names all the girls he's rapping. About 3 Kims, LaToya, and Tina.
That's so true.
I'm not going to say the name of the song because people get pissed off, but you know the name of the song.
Yeah, no, that's so funny. I didn't even...
I got to do a parody of doing like a DMX, but like saying all
we
the
do.
all
Maybe
the
we can make it a TikTok video.
A TikTok.
That was really funny.
Rare when I get just to actually laugh.
Okay. Now that song's in my head.
Yeah,
Oh
me
my
too.
God. All right. Well, when you think, Russ, of a description of a serial killer, what comes to mind?
I picture a regular looking dude that wears New Balances tied too tight with pants from Costco.
Okay.
And just the average dad in the neighborhood that does average things, cares about his lawn, but kills people on the side, like a side hustle.
So you're talking about my dad. Pretty much you just described Chuck, my dad.
Well, he doesn't have a lawn, so I guess not.
No.
But then I always picture like the serial killers definitely have grass stains on their dirty white New Balances on the bottom. And I picture a lot of times they wear glasses and they talk slow.
Okay. So you picture a man, middle-aged man, right?
Middle-aged man, yeah.
That's what you
when they were
think of?
younger, they probably killed animals.
Okay.
But now, the middle-aged, insecure herbs.
Well, the serial killer I'm telling you about today breaks all the stereotypes wide open. Mary Bell isn't only a female, which is rare, but also at the time of her crimes, she was 11 years old.
Oh, damn, see? So I don't mess with kids, man. People put them on these pedestals. Sleep with one eye open.
Now, we've covered a lot of serial killers over the last 2 years. And in covering these killers, we've seen a lot of contributing factors that led to their crimes. This is a very interesting case of nature versus nurture.
I feel that if you're a little kid that kills, the only thing that led to your crime was being born. You don't have time to really...
Well, you'll see in this case...
I mean, I had a weird childhood, but I didn't kill anyone.
So was it Mary's horrible home life that warped her reality and caused her to take on some psychopathic traits? Or was she just born this way? Are you ready?
Yes.
On May 25th, 1968, 3 children were playing in an abandoned house on St. Margaret's Road in Scotswood, England. Around 3 p.m., the kids ran upstairs to explore the second floor of this empty house. It was like the area that they were in was kind of like a poor neighborhood, kind of project housing, like a lot of low-income families. So there were a lot of empty houses there where I'm assuming, people would go and do drugs.
Kind of like the Bronx.
Like yeah, kind of
a lot of
like
times they sell drugs in those abandoned houses through a hole.
Yeah.
The hand will come out and it would pass someone drugs, and then they would just put the money in the magic hand. Mm-hmm. It would be like it was like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain of drugs, the Wizard of Drugs.
Well, this was the 60s, and it was the UK, so the crack epidemic hadn't happened yet. I don't know how the UK was with all that, but a lot of abandoned houses in this area, and a bunch of kids were playing in one of them. They ran up to the second floor to kind of explore what was going on up there, and when they did, they found 4-year-old Martin Brown laying alone in one of the rooms with his arms stretched above his head and foam was coming out of his mouth.
What?
The kids were terrified and immediately ran outside and grabbed a construction worker who was working down the street. The man rushed to the child and started performing CPR. As he was doing CPR, 2 girls appeared in the doorway and watched him. The man shooed them away and screamed for them to get help. The 2 girls then walked down the street to Martin's aunt's house, knocked on the door, and Martin's aunt answered the door. One of the girls said to her, "One of your sister's kids has just had an accident. We think it's Martin, but we don't know for sure. There's blood all over him." A crowd quickly started forming all around the outside of the house because, everyone was yelling and screaming about this little kid who was up there alone.
Yeah, that's weird.
And paramedics showed up and cops showed up. And after a few minutes, the construction worker carried the little boy out of the house, and he was gray. They rushed him to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead on arrival.
Damn.
Martin's body was sent to the coroner for an autopsy, but the cause of death was undetermined. Investigators saw no signs of any struggle or violence towards the boy.
He was poisoned, obviously.
And then in searching the house, Mr. Profiler, in searching the house, they found an empty pill bottle in the area with pills all over the floor. So the authorities just assumed that the boy had an accidental overdose, and his death was ruled an accident. 2 days later...
Those 2 little girls, bro, they were there too fast.
Well, 2 days later... workers at a nursery school nearby walked in to start their morning and discovered that the place had been broken into, and they found papers with some disturbing things written on them. One said, "I murder so that I may come back." Another one said, "We did murder Martin Brown. Fuck off, you bastard."
Wow.
Another said, "Fuck off, we murder. Watch out, Fanny and faggot."
Ooh.
Police dismissed this as a child prank because the notes clearly look like they were written by children. I'll actually post them online so you can see.
11-year-old kids can write?
Shut up.
No, I'm serious. What age? I don't even know how big they are. Are they like 2 feet tall?
11?
3 feet?
You're in 5th grade.
Oh,
you
fifth
write when
grade.
you're like in 1st grade, Russ.
I don't know what kids can do.
Anyway,
They can kill. Look at this.
It clearly looks like they were written by children. And it was just unfathomable to police that a child could murder another child. So they just thought this was a prank, like some kids were playing a joke. They didn't actually take these notes seriously and think that this was like a real threat or like the real confession of the killer.
That's because they didn't have true crime podcasts back then.
True.
Had they had podcasts like the ID channel or Oxygen or something, they would have known how things can go.
That little kids can murder other little kids.
Yeah, the kids are bad.
Martin's mother got a knock on her door. Now, this is the baby's mom, okay? This is 3-year-old Martin's mother.
Thought it was 4.
I'm sorry, 4-year-old Martin's mother.
Look at me listening.
Got a knock on the door. When she opened it, she saw 2 little girls, Mary and Norma, standing there.
They remind me of like Children of the Corn, just standing there with their blonde hair and blue eyes, not really moving that much.
Well, they didn't have blonde hair. Actually, Mary had the same coloring as me. She had dark brown hair with blue eyes. And Norma had brown hair as well, but I don't think she had blue eyes.
Okay.
So she opened the door and she sees Mary and Norma standing there. And Mary says to her, "Can we see Martin?"
Oh, these little
his,
shits.
His mother said, "No, honey, Martin has died." And Mary replied, "Oh, I know he's dead. I want to see him in his coffin." And then she smiled. Martin's mother slammed the door in her face.
She's lucky she didn't kick her in the head.
Yeah. Yeah. So that just gives you a little inkling of Mary Bell.
Little devil babies.
I'm going to tell you about Mary Bell's childhood and kind of where she came from, just to give you an idea of who she was. So Mary Bell was born May 24th, 1957 in Scotswood, England, which is a suburb of Newcastle. At this time, like I said earlier, the area was very poor, and a lot of the neighborhood kids just kind of hung out outside unsupervised all day and night. The area was very low income, had project housing at the time, and Mary's mom, Betty Bell, was a 17-year-old prostitute.
Oh, damn.
When Mary was born. According to members of Mary's family, Betty was not a loving mom at all. And in fact, she would say frequently that she hated her daughter.
I bet you didn't even know who the father was if you're out there just prostituting.
Yeah,
it could be one of
probably
many
not.
people.
Oh, actually, you know what? She did know who the father was. Her father was a drunk.
Did they go on Maury? Then nothing is
You're an
official.
idiot.
Nothing is official unless Maury says you are the father.
Well,
or the DNA shop now. You go to the room. There's a room in the back left side. It's called Who's Your Daddy? And we knocked that out in a 1-hour turnaround.
Well, the apparent father was a drunk.
Hello, I'm Nicole Turner, college professor and PhD student. And if you want to know all about true crimes associated with colleges and universities, then my podcast, Campus Crime Chronicles, is for you. What happens to a university when a student is found dead in her dorm room, but the school doesn't reveal she was actually murdered for 10 whole weeks? Check out this story and more on Campus Crime Chronicles, available wherever you listen to your podcasts.
So on the day that Mary was born, instead of holding her baby, Betty said to the doctors, "Get that thing away from me."
Oof.
In the years following, Mary lived with her mother, and as a young child, she was very neglected and treated horribly. Betty would give her daughter up to authorities, and then after a few days, she would come back and pick her up. She tried to give Mary away multiple times.
Damn, she needed a grandma, man. In situations like that, when you got a bad mom, hopefully there's like a grandma that could help you. 'Cause I know a lot of people growing up when I was kids, lived with their grandma because the moms was out and about, but the grandma was, they still cook good food and give you whoopings when you were bad. And that's all a good parent does.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
whoop you when you're bad and they give you good food.
That's true. Well, and they give you love, Russ. And love and hugs.
Yeah, but
that's what a good parent does.
Yeah, like they love you too, but they call you little dummy or something, but when you do something dumb, but like they give you love. So this way you're not sensitive.
Now, this is crazy. Betty also...
Don't call your kids little dummy. That was stupid, but it's funny.
Now, this is crazy. Betty tried to kill her daughter a few times. When Mary was only 5 years old, her mother, Betty, threw her out of a second-story window. Mary's aunts and uncles stepped in and tried to adopt the young girl, but her mother wouldn't give up custody to them. Isn't that crazy?
That's
it's
messed
like
up.
It's almost like it's on her terms. Like she'll give up her kid when she wants to, but if the aunt and uncle try to come in and take over, because they were concerned about Mary because they knew she was neglected and going through so much, and she would not relinquish custody. And I guess back then they didn't really have like what we have now with CPS and social services.
They should have stole the kid.
Wow.
Sometimes you just got to do things that are beyond the law to protect your loved ones.
Yeah. Well, Betty was also bringing Johns in and out of the house all the time because she was a prostitute, and her home is where she worked out of. She would also sell her daughter Mary to the men.
This story, bro.
It's horrible and disgusting and devastating. So from a small child, Mary knew nothing of love. All she knew was violence, sadism, sexual assault. Like, she had a horrible childhood. Horrible. So it's one of those things where, like, we say, is a horrible childhood really an excuse to act like a terrible person? In this instance, it's a tough call because...
Well, she had the worst, and she had the worst you can probably get. A lot of people have a hard time listening to these ones with children. Like my boy Chip at the bar, he was like, "Oh, I love your podcast, but the ones with kids."
I know, that's why we don't cover a lot of...
I can't really do it, because now these make me feel like, ugh, as well.
Well, we can't cover a lot of ones with kids, but... you have mentioned that you wanted me to cover a child killer, and on our Patreon, they voted to cover a child killer. So here we are. And Mary Bell is one of the most infamous child killers out there, but you can't talk about her crimes without talking about why she is the way she is.
I think I can talk about child killers intrigue me unless, like, it gets to the point where they were, like, sold for sex and stuff. Then I'm like, what the fuck?
But that's why a lot of these kids kill, because they had horrible lives.
Last year, Save More Money was the most popular New Year's resolution in America. Clearly, a lot of us feel like our money is slipping through our fingers. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the best saver, and I don't know much about investing until I started saving and investing with Acorns. Turns out you don't have to be an expert at all, because Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And I always thought that when people say, ooh, I invest in stocks, that they had a ton of money or something. Well, you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you invest with the spare money you've got right now. You can literally start with $5. And you guys are spending that at Starbucks on these fancy lattes. So skip the coffee and invest with Acorns. You don't even need a ton of time. Like, you can just sign up and start investing within 5 minutes. Head over to acorns.com/wifeofcrime or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. That's acorns.com/wifeofcrime. You guys already know, because we have been talking about them for a while now. Via Hemp is by far one of our favorite sponsors we've ever had, okay? We use their products all the time. Maybe you're a little like me. You're a little anxious. You have a hard time settling down. You're kind of wound up a lot. If that's you, Via Hemp products are for you. Check out their website. You will find something that speaks to you. Maybe you're like Russ. You have a hard time sleeping because you have bad nerve pain or chronic pain. Then Via Hemp is for you, because their gummies will help you get some quality sleep. Maybe you're looking to have a really good time. Maybe you just really like edibles. You want to laugh. You want to get the munchies. You want to watch a movie and have a really strong belly laugh. Then Via Hemp products are for you, okay? They're literally for everybody. So head over to viahemp.com, promo code wifeofcrime1 to get 15% off your first order. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Wife of Crime #1 for 15% off your first order.
So let's move on. So growing up, unbeknownst to the adults in the area, Mary Bell had a reputation among all the children of being a huge bully. Like most of the kids in the area were extremely afraid of her. Mary terrorized the kids in school. She would often prey on the younger children by claiming that she wanted to play with them. And after playing with them for a short while, and she was very nice to them, then she would turn on them and she would strangle them and beat them up and do horrible things to them. In an interview with one of the kids, as an adult, her name's Pauline, and as an adult, she says that back then she was strangled by Mary while playing in a sandbox, and Mary actually jumped on top of her, wrapped her hands around her neck, squeezed, and then she started shoving handfuls of sand into her mouth. Mary would threaten to kill younger children if they told on her. So that's why all the kids were afraid and they never wanted to tell. They didn't tell the teachers, they didn't tell their parents, because they really believed her. Mary Bell only had one friend, and her name was Norma. Norma was actually 2 years older than Mary, but Norma was developmentally delayed. So Mary, being not only very intelligent, but also extremely manipulative, befriended the girl and used her as an accomplice in
She's
her
probably
crimes.
bigger and stronger.
And she also was smarter, and she was more cunning, and she would use this girl to be an accomplice.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, though. She befriended the other girl because the other girl was bigger than her because she's 2 years older. So that's like a little more muscle, probably.
Yeah, no, definitely. Norma went along with everything Mary said. After a few months after the death of Martin Brown on July 31st, the parents of 3-year-old Brian Howe state that he was last seen playing on the street in front of his home with his older brother, the family dog, and Mary and Norma.
Damn.
When little Brian didn't return home that day, his parents started freaking out, and they went to search for him. Around 11 p.m. that night, police, along with concerned neighbors, were searching through an area called the Tin Lizzie, which is actually like an empty lot where there were burned up cars and lots of trash. It reminds me of the area you described as a kid that was behind the building you grew up in called the Dumps.
Oh, the Dumps. Yeah, now they got a golf course there.
Yeah, but it reminds, like the way you describe the Dumps kind of reminds me of this place.
Yeah, it was like a big field with like abandoned cars and very unkept grass all over, burnt cars. And
yeah, exactly.
we go ride our bike back there, and there were definitely like bodies back there and shit. You could like do anything you want back there. That was like a lawless land.
Really?
Yeah, not that I did anything. I just go ride my bike.
But it's big. That area is huge.
Yeah, and that's like where Son of Sam's shit was and all that.
Yeah.
Son of Sam didn't want this smoke.
Well, the Tin Lizzie, that area is like the Dumps where you grew up. So police found the body of 3-year-old Brian laying on the ground, partially covered with grass and leaves. The child was laying on his back with his pants pulled down. His face was blue, and it was evident that the boy had been strangled to death. He also had cuts all over his body, and there was actually an M carved into his belly.
Damn. This is a little devil girl.
The discovery of the murdered and mutilated boy sparked a manhunt because now they're like, who would kill a 4-year-old little boy? Like, they were on a manhunt. There was a press conference held in town, and police were asking for any information leading to an arrest. And there was one person who kept inserting herself into the investigation, Mary Bell.
Little girl was saying stuff?
Yep. She was in the front row of the press conference, continually asking lots of questions. What did the boy look like? Where was he laying? Why did he look like that? Like just random questions. And she kept like asking about the crime scene, and she was in like anywhere they were, she was, because she was like really interested in watching them investigate
How'd
it.
she find them? She didn't have internet.
No, it was the neighborhood. The cops were right there. It was a small neighborhood.
Yeah, but when I was a kid, we didn't have phones either. But what was going on around the corner, you didn't know unless you was there.
Well, she was probably following the cops around because she wanted to see them investigate the crime that she committed.
You can't follow the cops. They have cars.
I don't know, Russ. This is what they said online. I'm like, come on.
Well, I'm just saying, unless she's a ghost, she's teleporting from site to site, you know.
It's one site. It's the crime scene. That's it.
Oh, I thought they were in different places.
No.
Oh, never mind. So it makes sense now.
Later that week, another child came to police and told them that they saw Mary and Norma playing with the little boy in the area earlier that day. By this time, police had been questioning people in the area, and Mary's name just kept coming up a lot. They found out she was frequently bullying other children, and in fact, some parents had reported her to the school principal on more than one occasion for her violence, but nothing was ever done about it. Police brought Mary and Norma into the police station for questioning and quickly realized that they had a child killer on their hands. Mary told police that she saw Brian with a pair of scissors, but only police knew about the scissors because the scissors were found farther away from the crime scene, but they had determined that the scissors are what was used to carve the M in his stomach. And she just randomly brings up these scissors.
Oh, and only she knew about the scissors because she used the scissors.
Exactly. So on the afternoon of August 4th, Norma's parents called police and told them that Norma wanted to confess to being involved in the murder of Brian Howe.
Wait, who called?
Norma.
No,
Norma's parents.
Norma's parents, okay.
Yeah. They brought her to the police station and told them everything. Mary was later brought in and tried to manipulate police, and she claimed that Norma was the mastermind behind it all. But it was apparent to police who was really in charge. Norma was clearly developmentally delayed, and Mary was extremely intelligent, manipulative, and acted like a little adult all the time. So during questioning, she actually said to police, "You're trying to brainwash me. I will get the solicitor to get me out of this." She's 11.
Who's
she
the
said that to
solicitor?
police. The solicitor is like the court, like the judge. I don't know. They have a
One of them dude with Abraham Lincoln wig on
They have
or
a different
something.
system over there. I don't know. That's not the point, Russ. You missed the whole point. 11-year-old girl said this to police.
I got it. She was trying to figure a way out.
It's just a very adult thing to say. You're trying to brainwash me. I'll get the solicitor to get me out of this. That's an 11-year-old girl talking to police officers.
Yeah, I don't like when kids talk. When I always was told, kids are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Well,
You only talk when, I don't know, it's your turn. Maybe all kids should probably raise their hand.
Police hadn't formally charged Mary yet, and later that day, she was seen at the funeral laughing. Both girls were charged later that day at 8 p.m. with the murder of Brian Howe. Norma immediately burst into tears. She was hysterical, but Mary's reaction was completely opposite. She actually said to police, it's all right by me.
Because she's probably going to go to a better place than where she currently lives. Even though she doesn't necessarily know where she's going to go.
Mm-hmm. No,
But
that's true.
It can't be worse.
That's true. She does have a horrible life. So through the investigation of Brian Howe, police decided to reopen the case that happened a few months before, the death of 4-year-old Martin Brown, because, it was ruled accidental. And now they've realized, he might not have overdosed on these pills that they found in the house, that the girls showed up when the construction worker was doing CPR. So they wanted to reopen the case and see if Mary was involved.
Yeah, she sticks around at the scene of her crimes.
Yeah. Both girls underwent a psychological evaluation, and they were seen by 4 separate psychiatrists. All 4 concluded that Norma was delayed intellectually and therefore was easily manipulated. Mary, on the other hand, was extremely intelligent, cunning, manipulative. She displayed zero remorse or empathy for anything that she's done. It was determined that Mary had psychopathic personality disorder.
I'd be interested to see her interviews. They'd probably be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But they probably didn't have video cameras back then.
They did. It was 1968, Russ. You really got to understand timelines of the world.
I don't know when they had cameras.
They had cameras in 1968. Get out of here.
I wonder if they recorded it.
I don't think they did. But there is a recording, actually, of a young girl who had a similar life to Mary Bell. And this little girl, she hasn't killed anyone, but I think she hurt animals and stuff. Like, she was on her way. And this interview shows her talking about like killing things and having no remorse. She wants to kill her brother. And she's like about...
I think I saw that.
Yeah, she's about Mary Bell's age.
Well, like, I grew up a little rough, and when you grow up a little rough, you tend to have less remorse for things.
Not to this level.
Not to that level, but like, you see a lot of struggle around you, and if you see other bad things going on, like, you have a lot of bad things too, so you just think that's the way it's supposed to go. You don't necessarily feel bad.
Yeah. No, I get that, but this is on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I didn't kill no one.
Hopefully not. Rudolph Lyons opened the case in court on behalf of the prosecution at 11:30 a.m. And in an opening statement that lasted 6 hours, that's a really long opening statement.
That is the only person that Mike could talk longer than Jess. Holy shit.
Lyons informed the jury they faced an unhappy and distressing task due to the nature of the murders and the ages of the defendants. He then outlined the prosecution's intention, which was to illustrate the similarities between both murders, and indicated that both boys were murdered by the same perpetrator or perpetrators. And he kind of just like wanted to link them together so that it showed that Mary was a serial killer.
Did they just ask, did you do it? Because she probably would just say it. Like, yeah, I did it.
No, I don't think she confessed, because she ended up, I'll tell you, just let me keep going.
Okay.
Although Lyons said that despite the defendant's age difference, Mary was the more dominant of the two, he did contend that both girls acted in unison. So he wanted to charge both Mary and Norma, with the same sentence, the same crimes. He said that the children killed for the pleasure and excitement of murder, and that both girls knew well enough what they were doing and that it was wrong, and they knew what the results would be. So he was trying to show that Norma is just as guilty as Mary. Both girls actually testified in their own defense. Norma's defense was that she was manipulated by Mary, and Mary's defense was that she was neglected and abused and therefore craved attention, and that Norma was actually the mastermind behind it all. The trial lasted 9 days, and on December 17th, the jury went and deliberated for about 3 hours. Before reaching their verdicts, Mary Bell was cleared of murder, but she was convicted of manslaughter on both grounds.
I don't know the difference. Slaughtering a man, isn't that killing them?
Well, it is, but murder is when you plan it and you intentionally go out and kill someone. Manslaughter is when someone dies and you're involved, but it was like an accident. You didn't mean to kill them. So the sentence is a lot less. So like, say you go and you get in a car accident and you kill someone and it's your fault. You could be charged with manslaughter because it wasn't intentional. I'm pretty sure this is right. I mean, I'm not an expert on the law, but I'm pretty sure this is the difference.
Oh, but if you aren't, the internet is going to wrong the shit out of you. Someone's going to go, I can't believe you don't know the technical differences. But why did I do the Bill Cosby voice?
That's so true. We're definitely going to get comments and a review about it.
But guess what, peeps? I don't care if we're wrong.
And I also say corroborate sometimes, so you can't really take everything I say.
Bro, we're not a
Bible.
documentary. We're a kitchen table pod.
But I do think that's the difference. Like, the intention to go out, you like plan a murder, that's murder. But when you kill someone by accident, that's manslaughter.
All right.
So anyway, Norma was acquitted of all the charges. Okay, Norma was, and she clapped her hands in excitement. Whereas Mary was charged with manslaughter, and she burst into tears.
Wow, she had some emotion.
Yeah. But it was just because she was going to jail. You're going to jail now. I don't know if anyone will get that.
That's from when the bus driver uppercutted the dude on the bus. And he said, "You're going to jail now."
It's a viral video.
If you didn't watch that, look up "bus driver, you're going to jail now," uppercut, and then hit me up and we'll talk about it.
So Mary Bell was sent to multiple juvenile detention centers where at most of them, she was one of the only female inmates. So she was sexually assaulted numerous times by staff and fellow inmates. In 1977, Bell and another female inmate decided to try and escape. She ran free for a few days before being caught and taken back to prison. Then, in June 1979, they decided to transfer Mary Bell to a prison in efforts to prepare for her eventual release back into society.
They probably made her worse.
Well, beginning in November of 1979, she first worked as a secretary, then as a waitress at a cafe under the supervision guidelines in an effort to prepare her to reintegrate into society. She was finally released from prison May 1980 at the age of 23 after serving 11 and a half years. She was granted anonymity, allowing her to start a new life elsewhere and completely assume a new identity. Upon her release, a spokesperson was quoted as saying, "Bell wishes to be given a chance to live a normal life and to be left alone." 4 years after her release, on May 25th...
How old was she?
She was 23.
Okay.
So 4 years later, on May 25th, 1984, she gave birth to a daughter. And this would be her only child. Her daughter knew nothing about her mother's past until 1998, when reporters discovered her at in like some resort town on the Sussex coast.
Discovered who? The daughter or Mary?
Mary.
Mary's probably old as shit.
So no, she wasn't old. This was 98. So she was probably like 40.
Oh.
I mean, I didn't do the math in my head, but she got out at 23. So her daughter was only 14 years old. So she was about 30 something, 40 something.
Okay.
So now her daughter at 14 finally learns of her mother's past. And it was a big deal, I'm sure, to learn that your mother murdered 2 children when she was a kid.
That is bad, but then how did your mom treat you? You have to take that into account as well.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
this girl, I actually feel a little bit bad for.
Interesting. We're going to discuss that in a minute. Let me finish the story and then we'll talk about it. So the right to anonymity was granted to her daughter as well. So now Mary Bell and her daughter get to live under a different alias so that people don't know who they are. But Mary Bell did collaborate with an author named Gita Sarini to provide an account of her life before and after her crimes in a book that came out in 1998 called Cries Unheard, The Story of Mary Bell. And in this book, she details the abuse that she suffered at the hands of her mother. And she alleges that several of her mother's clients, sexually assaulted her, like I said. And Bell's current whereabouts are unknown and remain protected. According to the author of the book, she does not claim that she was wrongfully committed. Wrongfully convicted. She actually admits that the abuse she suffered as a kid does not excuse her of her crimes.
Good for her.
She is incredibly remorseful for her crimes and just wants to live a quiet life. She said in her book that she wished the families of the 2 boys could forgive her for what she's done, but she knows they never will, and she totally understands. And is the story of Mary Bell.
Wow.
So
now she's out there still, right?
Yeah, she's just living her life with her daughter, and she has a man that she's been with for like 18 years. I don't think they're married, but they are, together, and they've been together a long time, and he loves her very much. And he has spoken to like reporters and stuff and said that Mary's actually a really sweet, genuine person and a good person. And she just had a horrible life. And as a child, her mind was all fucked up from what her mother put her through. So, but I'm interested to hear why in this instance, because you have no pity for anybody ever, especially people who kill people. Why do you feel kind of bad for Mary Bell?
Well, because like when you're a little kid, you could have a bad life and be bullied and stuff like that, and you know, and that's no excuse. But then she was like sexually molested by like random people that her mom brought in the house. Because sometimes people use excuses from their childhood that are bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got a Nintendo instead of an Xbox, or my mom didn't give me chicken nuggets last night. Like, all them excuses, or like your friends get this and you don't. Like, fuck those excuses.
Yeah.
And hers isn't excuses either. You still shouldn't kill. I've seen kids that have bad lives turn into bullies. That happens often.
Yeah. That's true.
But then these kids that have bad lives that turn into bullies bully other kids that have bad lives. So fuck them too.
Yeah.
Like, we're all out here struggling.
Well, I feel like with her, like, I'm not excusing anything she did, but at the same time, if you only know nothing but your mother trying to kill you, your mother hating you, your mother deliberately ruining your life as a child, neglecting you, like you have no love whatsoever. And then the only thing that you're seeing is your mother bringing these random men in the house, sleeping with them. And then you're having to deal with that as well. And you're put in those horrible situations. Like, what else does a kid know? But it's hard to say. Like, it all comes down to personal choice. You know what's right and wrong. At 11 years old, you know what's right and wrong. So it's hard.
You do. There's no excuse.
But it's sad. It's a very conflicting case. And I was excited to tell you because it's one of those cases that you could sit here and go back and forth on.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel back and forth. I feel at one way she's just like a terrible piece of shit. And in the other one, I kind of like, damn, like she never experienced love. She don't know what love is and how to be nice to people. She's probably never experienced niceness. That's probably not a word, but it is now. Words become words when you use them. Ask Webster.
No, that's so true.
Yeah, so if you didn't experience, it was all new to her. And then maybe she would have been a good kid because after she got out of jail, it seems like, when she was able to experience other parts of life that weren't so bad, that she actually did become a decent human.
Yeah, exactly.
But now there's 2 kids that never got to experience life as well. So where do you go with that?
I know. No, I know. When I was researching this, I felt the same way. I kept going back and forth.
So where I go with that is, that's why I don't mess with true crime that much. I'm like, shit.
I know. Well, it's a really interesting case. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I definitely felt on the fence the whole time as I was reading about it, listening to pods about it. I watched a documentary about it. I saw interviews with people that she terrorized who are adults now who talk about the memory of dealing with her and how as a kid she was just ruthless. Like ruthless. And when you hear them describe their interactions with her, you're like, geez, this girl was really ruthless.
But sometimes that's like a survival instinct, It's fight or flight. And maybe she turned on her fight instinct. You don't choose what you turn on.
I know.
But you do choose a lot of stuff. And I'm over here giving excuses. And I'm always the no excuse guy.
You are the no excuse
guy. So fuck all excuses. Give her all the smoke. I'm staying consistent, folks.
Aw, you felt a little bad for her. I can tell.
She had some bad times.
Yeah, I can tell. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great week. And definitely hit us up on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod. And Facebook at Wife of Crime, the Crime Family. And if you're interested in more content, we got like 14 bonus episodes on our Patreon. So go to patreon.com/Wife of Crime Pod to check us out and go like and comment about our new logo. Go check it out on our social media. Let us know if you like it or not. And look out for all the merch coming up. We're so excited to release it.
Yeah. Just go give us positive feedback. We don't want any to know if you don't like it.
All right, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.
Peace.